Hello and welcome to Scorpio season. I think Scorpio season officially starts tomorrow, but we're gonna do a reading today. We're gonna talk a little bit about the Scorpio season, how Scorpio is portrayed in the tarot, and how it's also portrayed on the Tree of Life. There's a lot of knowledge in here as well. So the Scorpio card officially is death. It's funny, I think for some of us that are not Scorpios, we see this and we go, I don't want it. But every Scorpio that I've talked to that I showed this card, they're like, yeah, that makes sense. At least the Scorpios that I know, they're all about transformation. And that's really what the death card means in the tarot. I like to, this is one of the cards. This one, the Devil and the Tower, that I'll talk about in a second, are the cards that make me call the tarot like a drama queen. Because it takes these big archetypes and I mean, they are big archetypes and they are big changes in life. So not to be taken lightly, I guess. But death doesn't mean death. And I think by now a lot of us know that. Even if you don't read tarot, I'm sure you've heard other tarot readers be like, tarot doesn't mean death. And it's true, it's a transformation. But also, what I love about this image in particular with the RWS tarot is that we have, of course, the Grim Reaper, a bit classic, right? And on the white horse. But then we have four different people. One person is kind of dead already. I see them as given up. We have two children, but a little one is kind of looking directly at death, almost like in wonder, being like, whoa, you look kind of cool. Who are you? You look weird. And I'm curious. This kind of like child, teenager-ish is looking away. I don't know if you guys can see it, but if it's hard for you to see here, you can Google this image very easily. And I like this kind of teenager child looking one because they're kneeling, but they're kind of looking away. It's almost like kind of giving it the side eye. It's like, I don't want to look at you directly, but I'm still curious, but I'm afraid. And then we have this priest, right? A lot of us kind of pray for fear of death, or we pray. It can also be prayer to our ancestors. We are entering Halloween season, we're entering Samhain, we're entering the winter months. And I'm sure you've also heard a lot of tarot readers and spiritual teachers be like, the veil is thin at this time of year. And I believe that. And I feel like this is a bit of a symbol. You know, we have this priest person, regardless of, you know, priest, non-priest, Christian, not Christian, that's not what I'm talking about here. But it's this reverence. It's this spiritual way of looking at death, right? Or looking at what's beyond. We can understand that it is a transformation. It is a shift from this way of being to another way of being. Also, facing the unknown. I think it's a big one. And entering the winter months, at least here in the Northern Hemisphere, entering the winter months, entering the months that are darker. We are entering a bit of the unknown, right? We don't know exactly what's going to happen, although our society has taught us to just kind of always maintain this kind of rhythm, capitalism, things like that. So we know what it is, but there's energies at play here. So in classical astrology, Scorpio is ruled by Mars, kind of like Aries. Aries and Scorpio are both ruled by Mars. But in more modern astrology, it's ruled by Pluto. Scorpio is ruled by Pluto. So Scorpio is one of those unique ones that you have like two planet cards in the tarot. The Tower is Mars and Judgment is Pluto. But they're both about this awakening. You know, the Tower here kind of looks dark and it looks a bit dramatic. But it's really an awakening. We have the lightning bolt here, which almost makes me think of eureka moments, flashes of revelation. And also the Tower too. When I first started learning tarot, one of the things I loved about the Tower is that because the Tower is something that's meant to fall apart. It's meant to break away. Now, if something is breaking away, it was never built on a solid foundation to begin with. So it's meant to fall away. It's going to fall away sooner or later. So death is very much like that. It's like there is that letting go because what stays was solid. What stays was meant to stay. So there's that energy. And then with Pluto here, which is judgment, is an awakening. A lot of cards, a lot of modern cards are renaming this card the Phoenix or the Awakening, because they look like they're kind of waking up from coffins, and we have this archangel kind of calling upon them, and there is this calling. In the Thoth Tarot, is called the Eon, which is another symbol of a new age, a new eon. From the Thoth Tarot, it was like the Osiris Eon. Then we got the no, I think I got that wrong. Anyway, as Osiris Eon, the Isis Eon, and then we enter the Horus Eon. So that's what judgment is. There are these awakenings to new life, right? There's this calling to a new life. Now, not to complicate things more, but let's do it. We have the Tree of Life, and death is right here between the Sun and Netzach, which is Venus. And so we have death. We have death right here. From illumination going down into victory. Yes, it is Venus. For a second, I thought it was like Mercury, but I was like, no, Mercury is right here. Don't get it wrong. Okay, so the Sun is all about illumination. The Sun here is all about the self, the ego. I do want to take a little sidebar here and talk about ego. I know that language is alive. Language changes, and the meanings of things change. And I see the word ego being used very equivalent to narcissist. I see some spiritual teachers or other people be like, oh, he's in his ego, which means he's full of himself. He's a bit of a narcissist in this moment. Now, ego in Latin means I. That's all ego means. If you go back to the etymology of the word, ego means I. So ego is our identity, is what we identify with, how we show ourselves. So it doesn't really mean narcissistic. It means ego. It means I. But I understand, again, language is alive, and I know that nowadays ego, that's what it means. But when I talk about ego, especially on the Tree of Life, with the Sun here, it's that illuminated self. It's not about narcissism, but it's this illumination, this sense of self that has been a bit more integrated. And you're able to show yourself to the world without much shame, without much guilt, without being like too shy or too apologetic of who you are. That to me is what the Sun is. So death, we've kind of gone through that, and now we're going into Venus, which is a bit of a darkening period, because what we're doing is we're going down. So this sphere down here is Earth, is our planet, is the dimension that we see. And this is kind of a map of the universe, a map of the planets and how they kind of interact and where the tarot is. So we start up from here. This is like the seed of the tree, and then we kind of go down to here. Like, you see how there are 10 spheres? The tarot goes from ace through 10, right? So that's where they go. And then these bridges or pathways or emanations, there are 22, which are the 22 major arcana. Pretty cool. So death is taking the jump from illumination, from the light, into Venus, into pleasure. Think controversial, not really. Think Lucifer. He was the brightest angel in heaven, right? And death here isn't to say it's our downfall and we're all going to hell. Not in the Christian sense, but it's there's this sense of illumination, and I've been following the rules. Now, what do I want? There seems to be a questioning here of what do I want, right? Entering this Venus energy here. What gives me pleasure, right? Also, Venus is very artistic. Venus is also called a morning star, right? Very much like Lucifer energy. So there's that. All right, now let's actually pull some cards. Now that I talked your ear off about tarot and the tree of life and what it all kind of how it all fits in the cards. Now let's go to our divination. I'm gonna shuffle it one more time. Actually, one more. Okay. A bunch fell out, so I'm gonna put them back. Let's get 3 cards and see what Venus says. Page of Swords came up first in reverse. Oops. Queen of Swords. Ooh, a lot of swords, a lot of cutting away today. Well, this season, I should say. We're entering Scorpio season. Oh, awesome. We got Judgment. We got Judgment in reverse. The Four of Wands also came up in reverse. I'm going to take it as an extra message for us. So definitely, we got the Judgment in reverse. What I'm getting is inner awakening. Judgment upright is, I guess they're all inner awakenings, but there is a sense of an awakening that you kind of get to act up onto the world. But we got Page of Swords in reverse. I feel like we're neglecting. I love the conversation in social media and nowadays in general about mental health. Because the swords are all about the mind, thought process, communication as well, and self-expression. With the Page of Swords, the pages are the novices. They are the youths of the tarot. So they're always learning something. But in reverse, what I'm getting is, actually with the Queen of Swords upright, I'm getting a bit of a suppression. Like we're being suppressed about learning something. But also with the Queen of Swords is that because she is very direct. She knows what she wants and she's almost set in her ways a little bit. So what I'm getting is we're not rebelling. We're supposed to. I almost want to say we're supposed to rebel against this Queen of Swords. If this is like a parental figure or someone that you love, for example, rebellion doesn't mean like kicking them up on the head and being like, fuck you. But it's starting to say yes or no to what you want versus what this person is telling you. Because also what I love about the Queen of Swords, flipping it back onto us, is her sword is like straight up. And she's almost kind of, her hand is almost like either demanding something or being like, there's this hand that's kind of lifted up. And I see that a bit of reverence to it. So when I see the sword being straight upright, it's a decision that was made. And whether you doubt that decision on your path, which I think we all do, and it's one of the toughest things that we can kind of deal with, we continue to say, no, I've made this decision. I'm going to go through with it and see how far it can take me. So this person has already made these decisions. So they are following their compass. For a lot of us, with the Page of Swords in reverse and the Judgment in reverse, we're still figuring out what our compass is. We're still figuring out our North Star. Interesting, I talked about Lucifer and being the morning star. What's our morning star? In a way, what are we waking up to? Right? When we wake up, what's the star that gets us up in the morning and we walk towards it in some way, right? That's why I think also why we get the Four of Wands in reverse. Four of Wands upright is stability. Kind of like four sides of a square kind of thing is how I look at this. Also the fours, 4 legs on a table. The fours are a very stable number. But with it upright, there is a sense of instability because we don't know exactly what we want just yet. We can figure it out, but we're supposed to figure it out because we're supposed to rebel against the norm, against the patriarchy. You know, I'm all for that. We're supposed to rebel against the powers that be in a way. So then we can find out, we become more free to find out what it is that we really want. Going back to Venus, you know, we got the, this bridge right here is a death card. we're entering Scorpio season. Scorpio is the death card in the tarot, and it's this bridge right here. We're going into Venus. We're going into this morning star energy. We're going into this self pleasure, you know, not to the point of indulgence. That's the other side of pleasure, but self fulfillment and what it is that we want versus what we've been told we're supposed to do. All right, guys, I hope this helps you. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful, healing, healthy, uplifting, and leveled up Scorpio season. And I'll see you guys next time.